Hey guys, this is Hell Hades. This is going to be another Raid Shadow Legends video. So I'm inviting Chosen on to talk about all the past fusions. We're going to rate them 1 to 12 and just kind of talk through why they were strong, why they weren't, in apprehension for the new fusion that's coming next week. Enjoy it, guys. Catch you in a bit. Okay, and now I'm joined by Chosen. Chosen, did you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, what's up, Hell Hades? I haven't done a video with you for a few months, so it's going to be a good time. Thanks for bringing me on. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, cool. Well, I just figured with so much hype around this new fusion that's due to drop, we may as well just kind of reminisce, have a look at some of the old fusions that have happened and basically just rank them, in our opinion, what was the worst right through to the best one.
Sure, yeah.
And in terms of this, I'm thinking, perhaps just talking through not only how good are they right now, but when they dropped, because some of these have been buffed or nerfed, when they dropped, how were they perceived by the community?
Okay. Yep.
So I think we just fire out. So there's 12 to do. All legendaries except one. I think we just crack on. Who came in as your number 12, the worst fusion event we've had so far?
I don't remember exactly what it was because I didn't even bother doing it. But it was something around Sakura and Alika. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, so they're also my number 12. Yeah. So it was, I don't even know which one of these sisters it was.
I think it was the one on the left. I think it was that one. I think it was Sakura. I don't remember exactly how it went, but there's like those barbarian sisters, Maeve, Sakura, and Alika.
Yeah.
There was some sort of fusion revolving around one of those. And I mean, obviously, they're like decent damage dealers, but not really worth throwing a bunch of resources into getting, in my opinion. And they also take so many books.
Yeah, this is it. They take
like,
so many books for like
average. That was dead last for me.
Yeah, for average champions, they take that. I mean, they love to read. Look at this one. She has got 8 books on her A3. Like, yeah.
No, I think we're gonna be in agreement on that.
Yeah, I strongly remember like telling people, do not do this fusion. It's going to be a waste of your time, and it's the only epic one they've done. Quite, in terms of like a short-term fusion. So, interesting they've not done it again. I guess it just wasn't a success for them, but they chose bad champs. So.
Yeah, I would love if they would do like a skull crusher, like a champion that's not gonna break the PvP meta, but is really gonna help the player base to progress in like dungeons and clan boss and stuff. I think that'd be a great event.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So I'll bring in then my number 11. I can't even think where he is. Yeah, here he is. So my number 11 is Mossbeard.
We're actually in agreement. Number 11 for me is, we are. So what's your reasoning?
Yeah, so, I mean, I just felt like, on the face of it, when I first saw his kit, I thought this could be quite interesting. And, you might have a few places in the game where he could be a bit niche, but quite strong. But actually, in reality, his kit just does far too much damage to your own team to really make him viable anywhere but Super Endgame Spider, for me. I can't place him anywhere else that's more usable, more useful than epics and rares that are out there. So he's kind of weird. He's got a niche kit. Maybe it'll be good for something in the future, but right now it was a lot of resource to get him, and I'd be surprised if many people have got him outside of their vault right now.
Yeah, and then the really weird synergy of the kit, like you're placing poisons which you want to boost your damage, but then you're cleansing them, and then the cleanse doesn't even have a good cooldown synergy to make him useful in the clan boss. So the whole thing just doesn't synergize to make sense. But I like where their head was at in terms of doing something fun that has a different mechanic. It was just pulled off in a very weird way that didn't really jive.
Yeah. And it feels like they tried to kind of compensate for the damage that it does to you by a kind of continuous heal, but they didn't do anywhere near enough for the damage that you take. It was just something was off on his kit, but I agree. It was interesting. It felt like it could have been cool, but it just wasn't cool. Yeah, it just wasn't good.
Yeah, so we're in agreement on 12 and 11 so far.
Give me your number 10 then. Who's up?
All right, so my number 10 is going to be Killian the Lucky.
Oh, we got a different one. Okay, we got a different one. Is he in? Yeah, he's
the attack on the left. Yep. So I think I like he's all right. I struggle to find a place where he's gonna be like consistently viable and investing legendary books in him. He takes a fair amount. I think it's like 12 or 13,
Yeah.
maybe even more, maybe 14. I just can't justify ever really booking him. And then he's in Bannerlords, which is a very deep faction. So
Yeah. Yeah.
like needing it, if it was something like Lizardmen or Skinwalkers where it's a lot tougher to build a team for faction wars, I think he would be a little bit ranked higher for me. But yeah, being in such a deep faction and needing so many books and having really no AoE utility, I put him at 10.
Yeah, so he actually sits as my 9, so he was my next one up. But for me, if they just made the A2 or the A3 AoE skills,
Yep,
then
exactly.
he's actually cool. He's a very cool
Yep.
champ because it's pretty rare to get a good stun chance on a legendary, and this is very good. He kind of, for me, he only really works right now for faction wars, and like you say, there's already a deep faction there. His base stats are actually cool. His base stats are good. They just need to tweak one of these abilities to do something just a bit stronger, and an AoE, I think, an AoE somewhere.
It seems like a really low base HP, but he's got high attack and defense,
Yeah,
which is good.
yeah.
So
And
you'd
his speed's
want,
okay.
so he's one of those rare champions where you might actually want a flat HP ring instead of a flat defense ring
Yep.
because his base HP is so low. But yeah, no, he's got really good base defense and base attack, which is rare for an attack champ.
Yeah, so I mean, he was my 9. It'd be interesting to see if we flipped people here because my 10 was Skull Lord.
Yep.
Yeah.
We my 9 is Skull Lord, so we
Right,
literally
okay.
we flip flop 9 and 10. So
Yeah.
you can start first then.
Yeah, so visually, I actually think he's very cool. I like, again, what they tried to do with this kind of let's synergize with somebody in the faction. But I felt like it should have just been revives a Lizardman instead of a specific crappy
Yep.
rare.
Yep. I posted that as well. Yep.
Did you? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and the second passive, literally, I've never seen this do anything. I've never seen this work because it's so hard to decrease max HP by the amount to actually get it working. So it's almost like a completely non-ability on this passive. And then, I mean, he hits super soft, super low for a defense-based champ. The only bit of his kit I really like is this AoE decreased attack, which is quite kind of nice. But there's so many other champions out there that do it and do it more efficiently in terms of like cooldowns. Pretty much, if they just made him hit hard, he'd be very good. He'd be very useful again. Or if they put his A2 to be an AoE provoke instead of a single target provoke, again, he becomes very useful. But in his current form, again, other than faction wars, maybe a bit of Fire Knight, I can't see where you're going to use him.
Yeah, his like one thing worth noting is his base stats are mental.
Yeah, they're
like,
brilliant.
Just ridiculous. So like 27,000 HP, 1300 defense, 107 base speed, base resistance and accuracy of 90 and 70. Like they're just mental. But yeah, I think that's why they made him hit soft, is they thought maybe because the base stats are so insane that he would scale so high. But yeah, you're not able to really get him to do damage. And I'm with you on everything you said in terms of balancing him. That's exactly my sentiment. And yeah, aesthetically, he's one of the cooler fusions they've done. And he even looks like a supercharged Skull Lord, or I mean, Skull Sworn.
Yeah.
This is like he looks like, you know, Skull Sword's father or something. So yeah, they nailed it aesthetically. But yeah, just the kit needs a little bit of love to make him actually viable instead of just being a Faction Wars meme.
Yeah, I did think when I saw these base stats, I put a video out on it actually. I thought he was going to be insane. I was literally looking at this thinking, this guy is the one. Like, he can do anything in the game. But then he hits like a noodle, and you're like, well, come on.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people is it's more about the multiplier than it is the stat. You never know until you see the multiplier in action.
Yeah. So hit me with them. What's your number 8?
My number 8 might surprise you, I think, because it's a champion that I know you really love, and that's Foley.
Wow. Number 8.
Yep.
I cannot believe you're saying that.
the reason is at the time the fusion came out, the Foley fusion caused so much rage in the player base because it was like it took a ridiculous amount of resources to get, and it was back during a time when a lot less people had resources and were ready for a fusion that took as much resources as that. And at the time, Foley was pre-buff, so
True.
he wasn't very good, and the fusion was ridiculously structured. It's probably the second or third most and like furious the player base has ever been was during the Foley fusion. So I put it at number 8, but he has been buffed since then, so I didn't put him lower than that. And now he's a pretty solid champion, especially for 3v3 arena. There's a
Yeah.
lot of times you can get a lot of value out of him, and he's been buffed and he's good now. So I didn't put him super low, but at the time it was a really bad fusion event.
Yeah, so actually, it's a really good point, and he has sat in my vault for literally months. So when I got him and when I saw him, he was bad. When he first came out, he was bad. I've judged my score on how I feel about him right now, and actually,
Okay.
he is strong. Like right now, he has been buffed, and he is different to how he was when he first came out. So he's in my top 3. I won't tell you which one, but he's in my top 3 for champs right now. But you're right.
Well, and he came out before Torment. Like Torment being introduced to the game made Foley way stronger. So
True. Yeah.
So I think we're both right. I think it's just kind of like what metric you want to use to rank him.
Yeah, because right now he actually becomes the counter to someone like a Torment and actually someone like a RoDos, who also wouldn't have been out when he first came out. So he's developed over time. But I get what you say. The actual event, there was uproar for the event. The community hated the event, and it turned out he wasn't particularly good at the time. So I do get where you're coming from. Okay, I was surprised by that though. So if I go with my number 8, I wasn't around for this fusion, but I've got a lot of feedback from people to say that. Where is he? Where's Shamrock? Oh,
he's under.
Yeah. So Shamrock. So again, he's someone who's had a buff, but when he came out, he was pretty dreadful. Basically, he was all about RNG, and anyone who's completely based on RNG is not great for consistency in terms of doing anything in the game. So I didn't have him. I actually pulled him more recently than that. I wasn't around for the fusion, but it looks like his base stats are kind of cool, and his kit's funky, but has never been particularly good. So he was my number 8.
Yep, and he's my number 7. So he was right. Okay. We're in agreement on there for sure. Yeah, I remember I started playing like 4 days after the Shamrock fusion, and I was so depressed. I was like, oh, I missed the legendary fusion, but that ended up not really mattering because again, I like where their head's at in terms of creating a champion that is, obviously he was a St. Patrick's Day fusion, so base him around luck and RNG. And I get it. He's just not quite strong enough to justify being a legendary, despite the buff. He's not trash can like he used to be, but he's still like a slightly below average legendary.
Yeah, you just don't really see him played in any team consistently, unless it's literally like the only legendary you got. Okay, so who have you got then for your 7?
It'd be 6 for me because 8 was Foley, 7 I'm in agreement with you on Shamrock, and so then I think we're up on your number 7.
Okay, so my 7 then is Baracus.
Baracus.
So Baracus now is, and I guess then he's one of my favorite champs in the game. I think they've done a really good job aesthetically on his design. He came out at a time which was, it was right, like Halloween. I really like the idea of they brought out 4 champs, and actually all 4 of them are kind of good champs. But this was the fusion which was extremely hard. They even pitched it like, this is the super fusion, the one that you're all going to kind of struggle to do. And it was really, really difficult to do. It cost a ton of resources. A lot of the community couldn't do it. And I think it was like a week. Was it a week to do it? Or maybe 10 days or something?
Yeah, it's actually the only event that I was unable to do since I started playing. And we're actually in agreement, by the way. Baracus was the next one on my list. So,
right, okay. Yeah.
So we're in perfect agreement. It's just we flip flopped our Foley in terms of how we judged him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we're in total agreement. But yeah, the Baracus fusion, if I remember right, it required farming a runic warder from the Fire Knight, and I did something like 700 runs and just could not get the runic warder physically.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I couldn't do the fusion. So it's the one
Brutal.
champion I wasn't able. But yeah, obviously aesthetically he's amazing, but I mean all the champions in Raid are aesthetic. I mean they
Yeah.
knock it out the park graphically on basically any champion they come out with. So that's never an issue. But yeah, so I'm not an expert on Baracus because I don't have him, but he doesn't really seem like he's gonna be meta or like super specialized in any area really.
Yeah, I think the only place where he kind of thrives at the moment is in the arena. So the arena, he can just one-shot anybody with that 6-hitter. And he does have that passive that brings him back to get a free turn. But there's a lot of block revive champs out there right now, so that passive doesn't kick in if he gets killed by a Foley or by a RoDos or someone. So he's kind of like off meta in the arena, pretty good. And he can play in the Fire Knight, but and actually, I mean, you also see him in some weird comps. Like I know Murder Inc.'s done a crazy comp for the clan boss where he constantly revives him, and he kicks out a ton of damage. But they're very niche. They're very specialized.
Yep.
The average player cannot do any of these things. So that's why I kind of had him a bit lower down, because although his multipliers are good and he hits hard, it's very difficult to unlock him to do that sort of stuff.
Yep, so, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So
I think you're still one behind me, so I think it's your number 6 now.
Or do you want to kick out your number 5?
It'd be my number 5. Okay.
Yeah, you go for it.
Yep. So I was in agreement. I had Shamrock 7, Baracus 6, and then for my top 5, starting it off would be this is probably different than you, but my number 5 is going to be RoDos.
Is it? That is different. That is different.
So the justification here is obviously RoDos is a great champ. He's amazing in the arena. He's good in the clan boss with the right team. He can keep himself with good HP, be great in dungeons. He can blog a revive. I mean, incredible champion. But I think introducing a champion to 99% of the end game players that is as broken as he is in the arena was kind of an interesting decision. I think maybe they didn't think he'd be as good as he is, because now you're stuck in this spot where if you nerf him, you upset everybody who fused him. And if you don't nerf him, you upset everybody who wasn't playing yet to fuse him. So so you can't win. So I think that's why I rated it number 5, because yes, he's a great champ, but I think they kind of pigeonholed themselves or painted themselves into a corner where they can't really make the player base happy no matter what they do.
Yeah. So your reasoning is actually totally sound. So I've got him as a top 3 for me, but because of how strong he is, and he's insane in the game. He can literally do, like you've said, really, he can go into any area of the game and be top tier, which is wrong. Nobody should be able to do that, but he can definitely do that. You want him in clan boss. You could even run him in the same gear in clan boss, arena, dungeons, and he performs equally as well. You can run him with the same mastery set, and he still outshines most people, which generally for champs, you have to change those things around to make them work somewhere else. But not with him. He's just kind of busted. So I put him high, but high because he's broken and because he's married to old Sifi, who is even worse. They came out at the same time, and they are absolutely broken tier above everyone else.
And something funny that people might not know is RoDos in Spanish actually translates to broken.
Yeah, I've read that. Yeah. A few people have said that in comments before. Yeah.
So that's pretty funny.
So was that a meme or what? But
yeah, Plarium's trolling us.
Yeah. So I mean, I had him as my top 3, but for a different type of reason. So if I kick in my number 6, it's going to be Morley.
Okay.
Now Morley, I actually like Morley. I think Morley's a really steady, strong champ. And so we get into the kind of top 6, and all of these for me are good champions now. A lot of utility. Was actually quite a fun fusion to do, I found. And for me, she's probably one of the champs that most people can get something from. So she's got an AoE taunt or provoke, which is going to be viable for Spider. It's going to be really strong in the arena. It's a good kind of carry for any dungeon team. So she's pretty good, but she's not really top tier anywhere. Maybe arena, she kind of creeps towards top tier, but she's not really top tier anywhere. So I'd imagine a lot of people that fused her have had use out of her, but probably she's not in a lot of their endgame teams.
Yeah, we're in pretty close agreement. You had her at 6, I have her at 4. I think it was a properly done fusion. That's why I put it ahead of RoDos in terms of just a fusion event. Because yes, she's really good. Yes, she's a reviver. She brings lots of utility. She has good base stats, but she's not like broken anywhere.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of being a fusion event, it was pretty well done. But I do think Molly is undersold. She's a very, very strong hegemon counter, which is becoming more and more popular in the arena. Because the AoE turn meter boost, you get her in an immunity set, and all of a sudden the hegemon goes, and then your team goes. Yep. So yeah, she's got the revive to boot, and like you said, the AoE provoke. So yeah, I think it was a great fusion event, and that's why I had it all the way up at number 4.
Yeah, interestingly, before RoDos came out, the revive was much stronger. This revive in a kit made her a much stronger champion. But because RoDos can just clean swipe through any defense and one shot anyone he chooses to, she's probably just lost a little bit of, I guess the whole tank meta has lost a little bit of space in the arena.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, who was your next one up?
So we would actually be creeping into my top 3 because I had RoDos at 5 and then Molly at 4 that you just talked about.
Okay.
So do you want to do my number 3 or do you want to do your next one?
Do your number 3. Let's see if it's my number 5.
Okay. Yep. So at number 3, I had Torment.
Right. Okay. So it's not actually. Yep. I've got Torment.
Okay.
I've got Torment as. He's actually as my number 4, but yeah.
Oh, okay. So pretty close. I got him at 3. You got him at 4. So the thing about Torment is I think their head was in the right place. I love their way of thinking. So what they were trying to do was change the meta, shake it up, to get a champion out there to the player base where you counter the turn meter boosting speed meta. So they give a void affinity defense champion that punishes buffing and turn metering so that you can go second and have a chance to win. The problem is it's based on complete RNG, whereas turn meter boosting isn't. Like Arbiter's ability isn't 55% chance to boost ally turn meter. Like it happens every single time. Yeah. So like their head was in the right place trying to create another path on the meta. It just was implemented kind of poorly. So I had him at number 3 because I like the idea. It just didn't quite hit with the player base how it should have.
Yeah. And so I remember, I fused him really fast. I actually had all of the components to fuse him very quickly, like day 1. And I actually dropped some notes to, it was Ranger at the time, but our kind of contact. And I was just kind of saying, look, you need to do a nerf literally straight away. Because if you don't, this guy is way too busted and he's going to completely ruin the game. And obviously the fusion started at that point, so it's then a really kind of tough situation because you've got a lot of people spending a lot of cash and a lot of resources to fuse this guy, knowing that he's going to be top tier. But also, in my head, I'm thinking he has to be nerfed because he's actually ruining the game. And I think the first few weeks, or before they did the small nerf they did, it just got ridiculous in the arena. It was just kind of like RNG fest. Who's going to get frozen? Who's going to get frozen next? And it became ridiculous. And obviously he's been nerfed since then, and he's still actually pretty strong. But yeah, he was way overtuned, or it was almost like he wasn't play tested. It was almost like they put him out without really trying him out. I had him as my number 4.
Okay.
And I think the reason, I'm just trying to remember who went into him. I'm sure there was a couple of champs for this one that already must have existed in the game for me to have got him so quick. which I like it when they do that. I like it when they've got at least sort of 2 or 3 of the epics that are already part of the game. So
they've been doing a better job with that. They
Yeah.
used to only use like brand new epics, and it's like,
Yes.
okay, like
Yeah, every single one of the champs was new, and you're like, well, what's the point in
Yeah.
what's the point in a vault?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they've gotten better about that, but yeah, there was like a 5-month stretch there where they were just horrible about every fusion was brand new champions.
Yeah. But what makes me wonder, so they've taken the stance that, okay, this guy was pretty busted, we're going to do the nerf, even though they got a lot of bad feedback on it, and that, I think quite wrongly so, but in a way it's rightly so, because they should have play-tested him first, but ultimately he had to change because he was just ruining the game. But they've not taken that same stance with RoDos that has kind of pushed the meta too far in a direction, and they need to kind of do a bit of tweaking to fix it. So I wonder if that's going to be part of a balance that's coming down the road, because they did it here. They kind of got their big boy pants on and decided to fix him. I wonder if they're going to do that with RoDos.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think they need to, but the problem is RoDos ties into Siffy and the drive for players to get Siffy, which really bumps up the value of like void shards, and
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
so it's hard. I wonder if they're looking at that. They want to keep the incentive high to get Siffy. So yeah, it's tough. But I think I'm in agreement that RoDos needs to be balanced a little bit for sure.
Yeah, even if it's just a tweak, but
Yeah.
okay. So going back to my number 5 then, actually, so I had Torment at 4, which you've already called out, and I had my RoDos at 3, which you've called out, my Foley as 2. So my number 5 is actually Harvest Jack.
Okay. And he was my number 2.
Was he? Yeah. So he is a really versatile champion, really cool champ. Again, visually brilliant. Came out at the same time as the Baracus champ release, which I think there were 4 of the best champion models they released in one go. They really sort of pushed out the boat there. It was really cool. All of his kit is useful. He can be used pretty much anywhere in the game, maybe exception of Clan Boss, but excels in the arena. He's got kind of good base kit. He doesn't hit very hard. You can make him hit kind of okay numbers, but it's not really what he's for. He's more of a utility, annoying champ that's just going to completely nullify the opposition. It's just going to completely sort of throw them off from doing what they want to do. So I think the design was cool. I think the actual fusion event was well done. So for me, yeah, it was like a solid 5th, but not kind of top tier legendary that everyone's kind of, throwing as many shards as they can to get him, basically.
Yep. No, I agree with all that. I had him all the way up at number 2 because I thought it was a really good event because he's strong. Like, he has a defined role. He's a strong CC'er that you can stack a bunch of HP on and make him super tough.
Yeah.
He'll help you complete faction wars, and you can use him in the arena. So basically, he's going to be good anywhere but the clan boss. So he's got a lot of different roles and utility for your account. But at the same time, he's not like a RoDos or a Torment where he just breaks things.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think it was a really well done event in terms of the fusion and the utility of the champion.
Sure. Okay, so it leaves us with the same number 1.
Yeah, I think so. Yep.
Yeah. Far away. We've only got one guy
Cool.
left.
Yep. So I also had Cernik at number 1. It was a realistic fusion for the player base to complete. So your dedicated players got rewarded by being able to actually complete the fusion pretty easily. And then B, he's an extremely good champion for PvE, and he has utility in certain clan boss comps to do fun things with. And he's good in the arena, but he doesn't break the game like a RoDos. He's not someone where you're like, oh my gosh, they have to nerf him ASAP because the game is just insufferable with going against Sir Nicholas. So he really slid into that perfect role where he's amazing, and the event was well done, well structured, and he doesn't break anything. He's just really solid, but not too great.
Yeah. No, I mean, I totally agree. And I think for this one, so this was the first fusion. A lot of people probably don't know that Cernik was even a fusion. It was the first one they ever did.
Yeah.
And they used I think they just used 4 airs. I'm pretty sure it was 4 airs to make this guy for the first fusion. But I guess when you're early game, these would have been people playing the game within the first couple of months. It's much harder to have a whole bunch of epics and that sort of thing. So maybe in terms of like relativity, it might be that it was just as tough as the sort of fusions we do now. I don't know. I wasn't around.
Um, Sorry to interrupt you. It was
Hmm.
actually 2 uncommons,
Oh, was it?
and it was actually it was 2 uncommons and a rare and Jingle Hunter.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yep. So the uncommons are just guaranteed. Like you get those 2 for free. Like you
Yeah.
can get them from the market, you know.
Sure.
And then there was a I've got it pulled up. I pulled it up here while we were talking. So then there was the Void Epic Justicar or Justiciar, however
Yeah.
you say it. And you could fuse him with campaign champions. It was like War Maiden, Spirit Host,
Yes.
Eris,
Yeah.
and then Jingle Hunter. And you could fuse him with mostly campaign champions. It was like Templar and Avenger. So yeah, it was a
Right.
super realistic fusion to do, and based around the holiday season with Jingle Hunter fusing into Cernik. So yeah, it was perfectly done,
Yeah.
and a great, well designed champion.
Yeah. Definitely. I literally just pulled Cernik over the weekend.
I
So
did hear that. Yeah, one of
yeah.
my viewers tell me that. Yeah, I
Yeah,
heard that.
so I'm going to be trying him out. But yeah, like you say, he's not totally broken. He's got an interesting kit. He's very different from other champs, and he also allows versatility. So he can become part of an unkillable sort of style team for clan boss. He can be a real hard hitter for something like Spider. He can go into your arena team and do a job for you there. So I just love his kit. Can just be kind of transferred to anywhere in the game, but not completely break the game. Like you
Yep.
said, yeah. So all in all, totally agree. Um, I guess really just to round it off, from what you've seen so far, what are your thoughts on what's coming next week?
Yeah, I think pretty good. Based on defense, at least that's what we're told. I know what was data mined was based on attack, but I think they
Hmm.
changed her to being based on defense. Yeah, I'm kind of going off the top of my head here, but supposedly it's going to be an A1 that steals buffs or removes buffs,
Yeah,
which is pretty cool. And then the AOE utility. So I think based on defense, going to have some good potential. Will be maybe an average legendary, about maybe not like a great one and not a bad one. What do you think?
yeah, similar really. Array 2 is a bit down to RNG, which a few of the community are upset about. But actually, the RNG is around fairly strong buffs, debuffs. So,
Hmm.
a choice of 6, you're going to land 3 of them. Chances are you're
Yep.
going to land one of the strong ones. Um,
Yep.
and, landing 3 debuffs on any enemy is huge. So, yeah, if she feels interesting, she feels interesting. I don't think she's going to break the game. I don't think she's going to walk in and be top tier in every team, but I definitely think there's a use for her so far, as long as her multipliers are reasonable. That's the only thing that we're not sure of yet properly is she going to do a reasonable amount of damage. But I think even some of that's been kind of data mined out, and people are pretty hopeful. So, yeah, I mean, the other thing which I like is that all of the champions are already in the game. So
Yeah.
all of
Yeah.
the epics are here already. We're not kind of getting a whole drop of new champs. So there's some people that are going to be able to fuse literally from day one. Other people which might just need to look for 1, 2, or 3 epics, which is a much better place to be. So fingers crossed, I guess.
And I know the fusion graphic had a bunch of shadows and stuff, but are we in agreement? Is it Necro Hunter, Basher, Bushi, and Bonekeeper?
Yeah, so it looks that way. Yeah, some people are kind
Okay.
of um, played around with that image, and they've spotted some people have been pretty like strong in the detective world here. They've been like looking for little
Yeah,
kind of
zooming
differences.
in,
Yeah,
zooming in
yeah.
on tattoos and
Yeah.
stuff.
And then when you've got one of each affinity, it kind of lines up as well. So it makes
Yep.
sense. Makes sense. Yeah. So, cool. Well, look, man, we've been over half an hour here kind of chatting. So I don't want to keep you any longer. But just before we close it off, just want to give a bit of a shout out to your channel and kind of let people know what you're up to.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm over at Fly Elite. It's kind of the channel and the clan I run. If anybody wants to check that out, great. And yeah, thanks for having me. I've been wanting to collab with you, and I'm looking forward to bringing you on my channel, hopefully here in the next week or two to hang out and do a video. So yeah, thanks for having me, man. I had a blast.
All right, thanks very much. Well, look, guys, I'm going to link all of that information below. Be sure to go and check them out. I'm sure you have already anyway, but be sure to go and check out Chosen. And yeah, catch you in a video soon. Cheers,
All
buddy.
right, thanks. Yep. Cheers.